All right, we're going to get started now. I think for those of you, if you're not on our email list, if you would put your email.
Oh, that's backward.
If you'd like to be in your email list and throw it in the chat as well. I will say again, anybody who does not want to read, please tell me that in the chat. The bios, I don't usually read out bios at this for this because we include them in the e-blast that go out to everybody. And so without the features have 15 minutes, as we always say. I'm much less strict here than I am the live version. Those of you who know me at the gazebo, I do keep the time pretty close at the gazebo, but not here. So without any further ado, this is a cheat for us because I consider Louisa to be a New Yorker, but she's been down in Jamaica throughout all of this, and so I'm cheating and calling her our Jamaican poet. So from Afar, Louisa.
Thank you. I have to own my traveling soul. I'll start off with one of my first poems, which expressed the journey and how it began. How can I explain with reason being seized by a summer's day, an eye full of blue sky as it played with the sun's rays, creating a dazzling dream that took me out beyond your reach? On a cloud high above a tree, dropping me on an unexplored shore. Was I really to turn back? Was I really to turn back without more? And that is a little bit of my gypsy soul, which I never had planned on. I was born in Brooklyn and ended up traveling to West Africa and living in Jamaica. And I think it's because I felt part of the world. And I think that not only did I learn later in life that the Sicilian heritage I have on my father's side is inclusive of about 16 lineages, but there was something I felt as a little girl, that I felt part of everyone. And I always felt a sense of a oneness rather than an individuality. So this poem, Signifying Woman, says it all for me, and it is part of my feminine soul. I have to say that it is the feminine part. Rumor has it she was born a gypsy on the streets of Palermo, Sicily. Then again, some say it was the Bay of Naples, while others claim she was made in New Orleans under one of those giant trees with roots that go down so deep they reach into the earth's center. Trees with arms so long, high, and wide, they come out and grab you like the great mama. The dark bark betrays our true origin. Straight from the core she's come, with silk, wide hips, and oracular visions. Heart witch and bewitching, she refuses to be from one place, one race. She travels in any skins, many skins, spotted as the leopard, black as the panther, and white as the milk in her mama's rosy red breasts. She's red tongues licking fire, a bold soul, an old soul, backyard worshiper and gypsy wanderer. Sicilian, a queen, pure liquid mercury, the sharp in turns, the quick in glances. A grain of the Sahara, she is the wavelength green, a fish-bellied, crab-crawling moonchild, a secret reptile. Virgin and mean, the final call before the great silencing, the rhythm and drumbeat of eternity, the curse of blessedness, all female, feminine, Madonna, Putana, funneling that germinates seeds, rumbling, unsettling, pulsating, earthquaking speech. When she walks, she sways hips. You have to admit, she's beloved. She's everyone and everything's final exhausting suffering moment made flesh. I hate to admit it, I'm one of her devotees. She's the last ray of a sun. She's the last fright, a forbidden fruit, a Jew, a jewel, a pure love that instructs, rising from a cavity of womb. She is a woman bedamned and a man made manifesting, earthworm, creeper, the holiest one, source of intrigue, the rage of rivers and all that flows, and oh, so beauty-filled. Mercy, mercy, mercy. She's a musical gal, Louis Prima's sister, a woman signifying. That's my soul. Thank you. All right. I wanted to read a new poem I wrote for my grandmother, inspired by something I actually experienced. So we'll leave it at that for people who sort of live a little bit in between worlds. This actually did happen at her funeral. It's called Pagan Heresies. I saw my maternal grandmother, Angelina, the day she died, dancing in a garden paradise with gnomes and fairies in a faint white outline on the altar of the church during her funeral mass. She was buried a Catholic, though she was never baptized, having been raised Protestant during a time when many Italians were abused by the Catholic Church. I smiled broadly while I watched the parade, sure I was safe and that no one had a clue. After all, she was my pagan saint for true, full of fun and raucous play. When I joined the line for Holy Communion, my heart was full of joy at these visions, and I was shocked by the priest who presided and challenged me. His piercing blue eyes shut down my reverie. Are you sure you're ready to receive the body and blood of Christ? He asked. Suddenly, a long chain of women murdered through time by the Inquisition appeared before my eyes, burned alive at the stake for the light in their eyes. Staring back boldly, I answered, yes, and swallowed the host, inside smiling all the while, enjoying the sight of my grandmother's ghost. That actually did happen. And I came from a lot of different types of personalities in my family. My grandmother was the steady rudder of the ship of fools that we were. And my grandfather, her husband, was the polar opposite. He was where all my conscience about the world came from, but hardly calm. So this one is for Rocco Marquezani, whose name means calm. I learned to read the signs early on my grandfather's lap when I was a child, and he spoke of the poor, the disowned, disenfranchised, and oppressed. A fiery glow would come over his face, filling his throat and his chest. With a thunderous voice that shook me all over, raging emotions erupted like hot lava, cultivating new ground for a longing for power, an authentic power, a gentler power that he would never live to see bear fruit, a longing that had cut off his joy at the root, railing against his enemies that could never hear him, the heartless, the greedy who had shamed him when they sent him to the back door. Oh. Oh. Baba, I lost it. It went away.
We can still see and hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, I lost you, the pictures. I'll just keep reading and then.
We can see you. We can see you both now and hear you. So we're good.
Oh, okay. So I just can't see you. All right. Railing against his enemies who could never hear him, the heartless and the greedy who had shamed him when he was sent to the back door for work, or dared imply he could be a fascist, led me to witness a soul ache so deep and fathomless, beyond the loss of Italy or disappointments in the world. an ache only future generations could possibly hope to heal. So that's sort of where my worldly conscience emerged from. And I think that is going to lead me to Journey to the Heart Waters. This is my latest book. I don't know if you'll see it, the cover, but it's about my call to East Africa. I had gone to West Africa. I had written about that. And later in life, East Africa called me to experience what it was like for people to be migrating from war. Something that has now become commonplace, was at the time less so, but certainly very similar. And the family I lived with had been refugees from that war and experienced much of what we see on a daily basis. And so I wrote about my awakening there. And this poem is a shortened version of the piece in the book because, it's a long poem. But it's the essence of what happens when war is in your life. It's called Poem for Peace in the Horn of Africa. And if you're keeping up with the war now, Tigray is fighting, the same region is fighting once again. And this was 30 years ago, this was written about. Fix your eyes on 1,000,000 stars in the black dome of sky. Stars that don't shine, but spit hellfire. Look upon the sweet earth, parting, exploding. Earth that our fathers worked with sweat. Look, but don't walk on it. It may become your gravesite tonight. See the flowers, rose petals, only thorns are left. This is my song, yes. Now think of those you love. Think of losing them. Multiply this 4 million times and your loss will have touched mine. My name is Eritrea, Ethiopia, Tigray, Somalia, Palestine, Israel. My name is America, before and after the Europeans. The scars of many tears cover my face. My struggle is an endless battle cry. Was my beauty the cause of this? So many were attracted, so many. Italian, Turk, Arab, British, Greek, too many have come and ravished me. So much greed. How I would prefer instead to speak to you of our customs and our dress. The netsala that women wear covers my head. The table we set is seated with 8. Our people share one plate. Our land is also shared, divided by lot. We are many kinds of people and speak many languages. How I would love to tell you of our cool highlands, our capital Asmara as it once was, our desert touched by the Red Sea, the sea that led Moses to freedom. It shall see freedom in me. Red, red with the blood of my children. Wars are interminable, separation. My children, all refugees or dead. Who will pay the blood debt? We are still fighting the wars of possession. We are not yet making unity. We are not yet making peace. Today, I'll call myself human being. Will you join me? All the colors make one light. Why stay in the dark? There is only 2 roads. Will you take the one of light? Just imagine where we can be. Okay, that's a shortened version, but that you get the essence of it. I think how much time do I have, Tony, for Brenda now?
You got about another 4 or 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Right. Changing gears, because I would like to do a poem, especially for my friend David. He actually gave me the last line of it. So it's my Jamaica portion of the reading. And I'll start with first a passion for Jamaica and then remembering my body of joy in a time of darkness. Having an adoptive country has been amazing, wonderful. extraordinary to immerse yourself in other cultures with other people. Today, I know people are aware that Colin Powell passed away. He was of Jamaican parentage, and it is in a very rich and beautiful place filled with complexities. But you cannot know Jamaica until you know nature. A passion for Jamaica is a passion for nature. Until you have walked under the sacred cotton tree, stood long and silent by the river's edge, listened to the clear message of a doctor bird fluttering, heard the sweet sound of a nightingale, were awed by the beauty of its butterflies, the play of light on water, and known the sea as your lover, you can't know nature and you cannot know Jamaica. It's a place where I experienced tremendous union through nature, and water in particular became a medium of that joining of joy. And so this piece I call now Remembering My Body of Joy in a Time of Darkness, because it's certainly a time where you can forget the joy of your body and think of it as very fragile and possibly to be destroyed any second because of this terrible pandemic. So I quote Walt Whitman to start: "If anything is sacred, the human body is. My body is a living instrument of the divine. My body is the music of angel choruses and choirs, chants by Krishna Das, the chords and strings of Atmar Liebet's guitar, Pavarotti's arias. My body is La Luna Negra, pure grace unfolding, a billion whirling dervish cells dancing in a universe of stars. My body is rhythmic sways and swells, tender to the touch, playful rainbows, cherubim who love too much. My body is the bliss of pure consciousness, ecstatic love holding laughter, moonbeams, sunshine, dolphin smiles, and my face is a poem." Thank you for that line, David. It really makes the poem. All right, I was moving into another piece. I think that I'm going to conclude with two pieces. One, I also wanted to dedicate to Brew Joy, who was my teacher and David's teacher at different parts of my life. And I'm calling it after his challenge to all of us to mature into adulthood, to be conscious, to be aware of ourselves and where we are in the world, because it's so easy to live in distractions. And so I'm calling it We the Grown-ups. And I include all of you. How marvelous to be among you. Grown-ups, adults, such an unpopular word in our adolescent time. This has little to do with your age. People who relish leaving the ego stage are willing to leave the children in the nursery, the adolescent with his peers, the rebel with rebelliousness, are ready to join me here. A flush of joy overcomes me. We who dare to be brave and go below the surface, leave the banter and petty wit and competition and obsessions for the deep silence. Rituals of heart, the art of high play. Allow the divine to enter. Tumble through the air to the soul, to the center. Let go and trust. Explore the caverns below. Scale the dark ridges. Build some bridges. Walk in the labyrinths. Climb the mountains. Go counterclockwise. In the direction of the Himalayas. Come to know the wondrous worlds within. Thank you. And my last piece is a long piece, It's a political piece, sort of, but I wanted to share it because I just finished it, and it's dedicated to a Bangladeshi poet who was murdered for speaking his truth. First attacked in Bangladesh and then finally killed, followed to Germany and killed. He's written 60 books. His work was translated by a wonderful Bengali poet, Hassan Abdullah. And I took the title from him. It's called I Live in Other People's Times. But these are my words. I live in other people's times, when the food I eat, food my Italian ancestors grew with love, care, and kindness, is genetically modified. Covered with cancer-causing chemicals and weed killers by a company with an Italian name, Monsanto, which is actually a corporation owned by Bayer, a German multinational trying to control the world's seeds. When I tried to sing the new woman's song, garbage was stuffed into my mouth. I was groped and doped and told to be quiet or else lose my job. When I spoke up for choice, my life and the lives of doctors were threatened. I live in other people's times. When the beautiful sea was filled with islands of plastic and the tides turned red by algae made by companies' dumpings, I was told it was caused by me. Millions of fish dying unnecessarily from trawlers casting nets to make a catch easier. A time when humans have forgotten how to live their own lives, mesmerized by TV filled with lies, advertising drug dependency, eyes fixed on screens, machines, computers, devices, even as they walk under starry nights and pass beside fragrant, beautiful flowers. When bees die and the earth changes are man-made, while men still deny climate change, I live in other people's times. While medicines are bastardized, patented to be sold at a prohibitive, expensive price beyond the reach of the sick, when doctors are forced to take hypocritical oaths to withhold cures and healing and change a sacred art to one for profit, I live in other people's times. When there's no nature or clean air, when drinking waters can cause cancer and people are made to be contented with money rather than life, I live in other people's times. A time where weapons of mass destruction, of children shot in schools and churches, gunned down by police or vigilantes, mass murdered at concerts or places of worship, a time when we have the knowledge and know better to save our planet and refuse, when solar energy is free and available and refused, a time of inversion, other people's times. Yet I refuse to despair. Though my time has not shown up yet, when women and men recognize each other and they're in it together, when my heart gives freely and is received, when generosity is not met with cunning or deceit, when unity and oneness and diversity is known, it is not my time yet. When the secrets of waters and fishes are revealed and speak the common language of the invisibles that I've known, when the world I wanted to have has not shown up, I may live in other people's times, but my time will come. The end.
Thank you, Louisa. Thank you very
Well,
much.
you're welcome. I
Absolutely
enjoyed it.
wonderful. Bravo, brava.
Thank you.
All right.
Completely in awe. Thank you. It's beautiful.
Absolutely wonderful. All
Thank you
right.
so much. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming,
Louisa. You moved my soul, my dear.
Thank you.
All right. So that's just absolutely wonderful. And so we wound up, we got up to 58 people, we're back down to 57. I do want to remind everybody, if you do not want, right, that's a lot of people, I think. If you do not want to be in the open mic, please put it in the chat for me. If you're not on our email list and you would like to be on our email list, please put it in the chat. In 2 weeks, I guess it is, I guess November 1st, we'll have Ed Reiderbrand from New Jersey and Evelyn Candell, who is our own Nassau County Poet Laureate. And so we're looking forward to another strong evening. But without any further ado, coming to us from Philadelphia, Maria Fama.
Thank you, Tony. I'm very honored to be here tonight at the Oceanside Library Reading Series. Thank you for inviting me. I am thrilled to be reading with my dear friend and wonderful poet, Louisa Calio, who gave a beautiful reading tonight. And thank you all. I see so many dear friends and relatives here tonight. Thank you for giving a little bit of your time this evening to be with us in this celebration of our Italian heritage during Italian Heritage Month. So anyway, I want to start. I'm all Sicilian. Both sides of my family are from a little town in Sicily, San Pierniceto. And I know Louise is half Sicilian and half Neapolitan, but I'm going to read some Sicilian, and I have a Neapolitan poem too for Louisa. Okay, this is called Sicilia. The volcano's creature are you, land of the sea and mountain face. How many sought to have you in your fragrance? How many did you tempt with your honeysuckle bloom? Your beauty lavish with orange fruit and jasmine air. Who could resist you, bathed ever in rainbowed seas? Land, to you they came to take from you their fill. Turbaned or armored, black or blonde, togaed, striped or wooled, they came to take you. But your anger sucked their blood. You shook their bones with quakes. You cracked their boats on your sharpened sides. Your wind breath blew away their homes, threw their crops into sparkling seas. As your beauty smiled, they roasted and they froze. Hypnotized, they stayed. Drugged by beauty, they stayed. Exhausted by sweat, they stayed. And your mountain face has carved your image on these people. Too wise to trust, too old to change, too bitter to regret the sameness of all centuries. They know your children. They know hot winds come and sun burns. The tempests freeze, the land slides, ships sink, blood spills and is wet. They like you smile. They like you are harsh. And when I first went to Sicily back in many years ago, many decades ago, I met my aunt, my tia Antonia. And this is the poem about her, Picking Apricots with Tia Antonia. Late afternoon in June, when the sun was less intense, my aunt and I picked apricots in a terrace field on a mountainside. We picked buckets of apricots from a sturdy tree, I on a ladder, she below, her everyday life special for me, fresh from a city and ocean away. From the ladder, I saw the dusty roads snaking through the town, the laundry waving on balconies. I heard goat bells and bleats, a motorcycle buzz, a Fiat horn. I breathed sweet apricots and sun. I slowed and swayed. My aunt called up to me. That apricot fragrance was making me drunk. She said I was not used to the power of Sicilian apricots. We switched places. At sunset, we carried the buckets home, some to sell, some to trade, some to eat ourselves. At twilight, I sat in the kitchen, a little dizzy. My aunt was right. Her everyday life, my ancestors' lives, Sicilian apricots had made me drunk. Could see those hands clapping over the cyberspace. And now I'm going to read a poem about San Gennaro, and this is the Neapolitan piece. San Gennaro, as many of you might know, is the patron saint of Naples. And every year they take his blood out. It's in a vial at the Cathedral of Naples. And if it liquefies, Naples is safe for another year. Now, this year, 2021, it liquefied. So we're safe for another year. But last year, 2020, it didn't liquefy. It stayed solid. So anyway, this is my poem about San Gennaro. I know San Gennaro is all for Naples and Neapolitans. Although I am Sicilian, I love San Gennaro. With his vial of blood in the Cathedral of Naples, with his blood liquefying to keep Naples safe, with his guarding Vesuvius promising to give a warning when it's about to blow. 20 years ago in September, I went to the San Gennaro Festival in New York, bought a little button with an image of San Gennaro on it. I wore it pinned to my jacket for 3 days. On the third day, a friend stopped me in a Philadelphia bookstore. Why are you wearing a pin of the Pope? He's not the Pope. He's San Gennaro, patron saint of Naples. Aren't you Sicilian? Yes, but I love San Gennaro. I love Naples. The next day, the San Gennaro button disappeared. Somehow, some way, his button came off my jacket and was not found until 3 years later when I saw my cat playing with it in the cellar. I pinned the button on. San Gennaro, you've returned. Within the day, it disappeared again, never to be found since. I know, San Gennaro is all for Naples and Neapolitans. I still love him, and Naples too. We're getting close to November 2nd, which is the Feast of the Holy Souls. And Sicilians eat these really hard cookies that are called ossi di morte, bones of the dead. And you have to dunk, you could break your teeth if you try to eat them without, you have to dunk them in something to eat them. But we still have that tradition, and you could buy them at the bakery here in South Philly. So we do it every year in November. And this is my poem called Eating Ossi di Morte on November 2nd. All Souls Day, far from Sicily, we watch Sicilian children on Rai TV News clutch little plastic bags of Ossi di Morte as they hold their parents' hands on the way to cemeteries. Today, here in Philadelphia, here in the USA, we buy our Ossi di Morte in the bakery. White hard cookies, bones of the dead, made of almond paste, flour, sugar, lemon juice, and cloves, in the shape of femurs, ulnas, and skulls. We dunk them in espresso. We dunk them in wine. We dunk them in tea. Remember our dear departed. Nonna told us to pray for and to our dead always. They were looking out for us. Nonna told us if we prayed for and to our dead on November 1st, the next morning they would bring Ossi di Morte, and maybe a little money too. Nonna said when she was a child in Sicily, her dear dead never failed to bring her a bone cookie and a coin on November 2nd, even when they hardly had enough to eat. We dunk our Ossi di Morte to soften the hardness of our lives with the memories of our dead.
Mm.
Thanks. I want to read you another poem from one of my books. And it's called Canyon de Chelly. I happen to think that the Southwest part of the United States is one of the most sacred, beautiful areas on the planet.
Yeah.
And it's Canyon de Chelly is in Arizona on the Navajo reservation. And I have many Navajo friends who have taken me to Canyon de Chelly, where I prayed. So here is my poem, Canyon de Chelly. A woman prays at Canyon de Chelly. The sun spot rises over Spider Grandmother's sandstone spire. Distant starshine, warm first light, sacred rocks, juniper trees, sagebrush. The wind is a presence. One eagle flies overhead. Spirit guides come. Animal mentors come. A woman prays at Canyon de Chelly. Seashells of past oceans, dry sands of the wash, change and stay. Ancient Anasazi cliff dwellings, Present Navajo Hogans, change and stay. Hawk and owl, sheep and herders, cornfield and stream, trees and scrub, prairie dog and mouse, change and stay. Sing the power of the pulse, the holiness of sunshine on stone. A woman prays at Canyon de Chelly, changes, changes, and stays. And this next one is about a friend of mine who's now a pharmacist, but we went to Temple University together and we were in history class, even though he was in the sciences and I was in the arts. So this is for Wilfred. Green-eyed son of Africa, you cannot know the comfort of your words that have worked upon me through the years since we sat together in history class. Scholarly, we spoke of science and the arts. I then first beheld Benin bronzes. You exquisite, pronounced them, yes, exquisite. Green-eyed son of Africa, you worked with equations and chemicals. You told me life is one true song. I, island-blooded, felt restless in duty's realm. So you gave me a balm. Do what must be done in one sweet song, not caring as much for the written notes as much as how the melody is sung. And I like to work once in a while in form. And one of my favorite forms is a Persian form of poetry called the ghazal. And the ghazal could go on for hundreds and hundreds of couplets. There are 2 couplets, the second line has to rhyme. I'm not going to have hundreds tonight, just a few. And the last line has to do a play on your name or mention your name somehow. So this is a morning ghazal. Arise to gentle fire, morning's first light. Start with a prayer and the sky's delight. I open the kitchen door to blue sky, reverence for the snow that fell last night. Feeding bread to the sparrows and starlings, I watch for dark feathers in the snow's white. Tea bags of ginger peach tea from China, an expensive brew to sip winter light. The deers that have gone to another realm left paintings, photos, and books for my sight. I want to give proper gifts to my dead, quiet, serene respect, and love's insight. Wrestling with the morning's metaphors, I squeeze poetry's raw syllabic might. By noon, I give thanks for winter's sunshine's graceful shadows. Start the soup for tonight. I am named for my grandmother. Use my mother's pot. Vegetables and poems for the living and dead. I chop and recite. And these last 2 poems are from my new book. No, I got the wrong book. And the last 2 are from my new book, The Good for the Good. And the first one is called Cuore di Leone, which means lion's heart. And it's in memory of my grandfather, Francesco Fama. Nonno Frank used to say, when you drive, you need a lion's heart. I think you need a lion's heart always, even when you just walk. Nonno Frank left his Sicilian town as a teen for Pennsylvania coal mines, returned home to fight for Italy in the First World War, survived the trenches, married, fathered children, crossed the ocean again and again, torn between making money in America and his homesickness for Sicily. He went back and forth, Sicilia to USA, USA to Sicilia, Sicilia to USA, until the Great Depression trapped him in America. Broke, living in an attic, doing odd jobs, far from his wife and children, he needed a Cuore de Leone to find the courage to live for years alone until he could see his family again after the Second World War. I tap along with my cane on city streets as I dodge cars, bikes, coaches, buses, beggars, and texters. I never fought on the front lines of battle. My trips abroad were joyous. My cares and worries are ordinary. My family is near. Yet I hope I have a Cuore de Leone too. Nonu Frank found a job with Mack trucks during World War II, but he never owned a car. He walked everywhere. I write and teach, used to have a car, but sold it when I could no longer afford the fees. I walk everywhere. Now, each evening, I hope my lion's heart beats true when I walk the gauntlet of beggars who scream their needs in my face, curse and insult me as I make my way home. Nonu Frank faced life's struggles firm and stoic with his lion's heart. I hope to do the same. Today, his granddaughter amends his words. When you live, you need a Cuore de Leone. And I'll finish up with this poem. I'll conclude with this poem called Badadi, which means potatoes. Americans say bologna. My Sicilian family says badadi, potatoes. So humble, so commonplace, badadi. To politicians' promises, badadi. To flatterers, compliments, badadi. To advertisers' claims, badadi. We are schooled in humility by badadi. We cannot ever be too proud with badadi. Someone says he is a CEO. CEO of what? Badadi? You say you want a prize? A prize for what? Badadi? Honorifics, the dean of Badadi, the queen of Badadi, the cavaliere of Badadi, the contessa of Badadi, the doctor of Badadi, the bishop of Badadi. Potatoes, so humble, so commonplace, Badadi. The world is full of Badadi. And I thank you.
Woo, woo.
Perfect ending.
How's that?
Thank you so much. Oh, absolutely wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, what
God.
great readings tonight. Oh, fantastic. Thank you. What a way to kick off the series again. We really do appreciate it. All right, so here's what we're going to do, guys. I'm going to, folks, rather, I'm not allowed to use guys anymore. What can I say? I tell my daughters I'm 98% woke. They say I'm about 40% woke, but I said I should be rated on a scale. Okay, I should, I should be graded on a scale.
Sliding scale.
Right?
At least you know that there are men that are awake. Some don't even know that's an option.
How much I am. So anyway,
Oh my God.
folks, the way we're going to do it now is I will call on somebody. I will tell the next person they're on deck. For those of you who are not American baseball fans, that means that you go next. So this way everybody is ready to go. If you've already told me in the chat that you're not reading, that's fine. If you've decided that you're not going to, or if you decide to change your mind, you want to, put that all in the chat. I'll be looking at the chat. If you're not on our email list, please put it in the chat, and we'll add you to that as well. So without any further ado, Marvin, you're up, and Alto Canelli, you're on deck.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Marvin, we can hear you.
Okay. The name of the poem, And They Ate the Marshmallow Men. Mother walked on the ice with the marshmallow men. Toward school she walked, pushing a carriage, sagging with party joy. The phonograph in the recess where the feet go. On the seat, the records topped by cupcakes, Tootsie Rolls, nuts, gum, Cracker Jack, mother. Toward the party she pushed, 6 blocks took an hour with the ice and the brace she wore. The teacher played the piano, the kindergarten danced, mother played the records, cockle shells, and 3 bags full, and they ate the marshmallow men and their raisin eyes and his name on the cupcakes. And after milk, she gave the gifts and told some stories, and they laughed, and he felt hot all over. His mother was so good. She sweatered him when he was too old for marshmallow men. Other mothers don't care, she said. When he said, oh, the others don't have sweaters. She had called him from the stickball game, and the other boys waited. What did they think? And have some milk. You need strength. But Mom, the guys, she called him to the couch. He thought he was too old in high school now for her embrace. She called him funny names, only she called him, and whispered dreams and what he meant to her. One day, years afterwards, he asked his wife, who taught, about the parties in her class and about the marshmallow men. She laughed. Pizza, she said, pizza and Coke in kindergarten, in my 4th grade, the whole school, pizza and Coke.
Thank you, Marvin. Alticanelli, you're up, and Terry, you're on deck.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
We sure can. Yep.
Okay, thank you. This is a very brief poem. I call it Flea Market Find. Moved with pity, the old man paused among cluttered flea market tables, purchased a discarded old precious small white plaster sheep, walked away pleased, snug in his pocket, the flea market find. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So Terry, you're up, and Rachel, you're on deck. Terry? Gotta unmute yourself. Okay, Terry, are you going to be reading something for us? No, she's saying no. Okay, that's fine. All right, Rachel? Do I still have Rachel? I don't have Rachel. All right, so my system is not working as well as I thought it would be. Amber, you're up. And Amy Barone, you're on deck.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Beautiful poems earlier. Loved it. This is a poem titled Autumn Syndrome from my first little chapbook of poems for Dancing Girl Pets. Autumn Syndrome. Iodized yellow cysts, determined to fall, bob in today's charcoal air, off the arms of 2 elderly trees. Doomed to become pabulum, the piebald crab apples will feed deer, birds, ants, earth, maybe you or me. The older the apple, the sweeter its innards be. Newborns are bitter crabs until they bruise sweet decay. Humans are the opposite of apples. Newborn, we are candied only to slowly dissolve into bitterballed crabs as aged autumns would have us. Our bruises are never sweet. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And Amber will be featuring for us in May. So Amy, you're up, and Anne, Let me see which Ann it was, because we have a few of them here. Ann Cohen says she does not want to read.
Okay, here I am.
Okay, so Amy, you're up, and Kathy's
Yes,
Kathy's
thank
students
you.
are on deck.
Swimming on the moon. A yellow ribbon of angst floats above. During the lockdown, some spent days baking bread while a friend nearly starved to death, driven to the ER by fear and seclusion. A magnet for benign and wicked misfits, I pull a mask over distress, pluck thorns from my sides, and spend fitful nights asleep with people still in my system. Now that water's been spotted there, I think I'll head to the moon for a swim, embrace lunar life off the grid, get revived on a smooth intergalactic ride as I wave goodbye to bugling elk, dazzles of zebras, and dozing cuttlefish.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Amy, where are you, by the way? Where are you from?
I'm back in New York City. I live between New York City and a little bit outside of Maria Fama's stomping grounds.
Okay,
I'm from outside of Philadelphia, so I spend part of the month there.
very nice. Thank you. Thank you for joining
Thank you.
us. I don't think Kathy is still on. Kathy, are you still on? No. David, you ready to read a poem? And Doreen, come up on deck.
Sorry, there are a couple of Davids.
David O'Rose.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Tony, for this hosting. It's the first time I've seen so many poets in one place all at once. It's marvelous. And the invitation from Louisa is so welcome. We worked together a bit on working on consciousness many years ago, but she's kept in touch, always encouraged me to write, and occasionally I do. This one came in the wee hours of the morning, and the word "we" and its double meaning appears in this little piece. It's just a playful piece, just to say that I was here. So this is for you to hear, Louisa. It relates to the body of joy in a way, because we really are a body of joy always. So this is my little poem it came in last night about 4 a.m. It's called In, and this is the land of somnia, insomnia. Nature calls in the wee small hours. Careful not to wake the resident possum in the roof, I roll off the bed and onto my feet with the help of a well-placed elbow on the edge of the mattress. Now I feel the floor beneath my feet, and by some miracle, this nocturnal gymnast is heading towards the ensuite en bloc. French phrases elevating the nightly routine of this aging possum to an art form. The Louvre appears before me as if by magic, my every step guided by successively appearing night lights. I gaze into the bathroom mirror and see my old face, its enigmatic smile framed and fearless. I have awoken to the night. Ah, now my possum friend above me has just rolled over. We are inseparably insomnia. Mona Lisa is amused. Thank you.
Lovely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Yeah. Doreen, you're up. Dee Allen, you're on deck.
Thank you, Tony. Wow, what a night. Louisa, Maria, just stunning work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doreen.
This is called I Reach for the Opposable Thumb. Crack open a case of intentions, climb a ladder to some perceived heaven, reach for an honor badge of completion. Listing 1 to 10, the joy of crossing off keeps me on the move, on the mark, on the right side of the bed. Get up at sunrise, grab a pencil, empty baskets of has-been ideas, scrub errors A through Z. Strong shoulders carry heavy burdens. In a confessional mood, my leadership falters. I take my place near the front of the line, my engine engaged. I cough, sputter, an old car, about to die. On the highway before I reach my destination, the penultimate, not the final. For that, I need no list. Thank you.
Wonderful as always.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so D. Allen, and D wants me to share a screen, which I don't usually do for these, but I'm in a good mood, so we're going to do it. Where's D? There we go. Okay. All right, D, you can share your screen if you need to. And Ann Cohen, you're on deck.
Grazie, Senor Iovino. I'm going to do one poem for 3 minutes. And the poem I'm about to do for y'all happens to come from my 5th book, Eloi Onichi, Poems, 2013 to 2018, released Earth Day 2020. Ann Cohen and Dan Brady have already heard the following poem I'm about to do, but the rest of y'all have not. And to assist me in this endeavor, I'm going to use the share screen feature. The poem I'm about to do comes from section 2 of the book entitled Beauty of Nature, from pages 34 and 35. And this is an ode to a piece of jewelry that I own called Totem. From a long black cord surrounding my neck, I carry my strength. Smooth carved apple coral blood red stone totem. Crawling bear facing the east. Sky blue lifeline points to the western edge of creation. Area he defends throughout the year. Then he hibernates in dreams during winter. What the bear seeks is medicine. What the bear finds is medicine. What the bear eats is medicine. What the bear exudes is medicine, meant for our withstanding the chaos. Cave dwelling, woodland animal, spirit sacred to the Zuni, the Anasazi, Yona Navwadi, bear medicine to the Chalagi, also known as the Cherokee Indians. The beast that walks firmly on 4 legs or 2, best represents internal strength I could use, worn as an outer totem around my neck.
All right, thank you very much.
And that poem was called Totem, which is an ode to this little guy here.
Yeah.
A piece of Native American jewelry that was given to me by an old friend of mine, a San Francisco poet named Richard Allen Sanderell, known locally as the Cursive Writer. He went to a Native American powwow about 4 or 5 years ago in Arizona and came back home to San Francisco with several of these. Gave me this one.
Nice.
This little symbol that is emblematic of the strength that lies in us all, men, women, other. The internal strength that comes from our woodland friend, the bear.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
From this mic to your ears, I'm D. Allen. Thanks for
Thank you,
listening.
D.
Happy Italian Heritage Month.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Okay, Ann Cohen, you're up, and Bruce Grossberg, you're on deck.
I want to thank our wonderful readers. I enjoyed hearing those slice of life poems about your heritage. And I really learned something from it. And Dee, I could listen to you all day. I love your poetry. I have 2 haiku. Judy, you heard this, you're gonna have to hear it again. So here's the first one. October cricket beneath my bedroom window sings a farewell song. October cricket beneath my bedroom window sings a farewell song. Here's the second one. I check my cell phone. No one calls on Halloween. I have been ghosted. I check my cell phone. No one calls on Halloween. I have been ghosted.
Very nice. Oh, too funny. Too funny. Okay, so thank you very much. Bruce, you're up. Barbara Rosen, you're on deck.
Can you hear me? I'm using a different setup tonight, so I'm not sure. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Absolutely.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks, Louisa, Maria. Thanks, everybody, for being here and supporting each other. This one is called Cousins. While you were protecting his privacy, you were exposing his frailty, hoping that we'd be too embarrassed to take a good look. But I was under no obligation. This old man was not my father. He was not my boss, although technically he was everyone's boss. Still, he was not my friend or even a drinking buddy. It was unclear whether he even knew my name. But somehow I was standing next to him anyway. Someone who no longer remembers me allowed me into the room. Someone I no longer care to remember pushed me a little bit tiny closer to the center. The pattern repeated itself several times through the years, until the death of his cousin provided an opening. They chose me. They could have chosen any number of people standing in the second circle, all men unknown to him, poorly vetted, if at all, by other men, other so-called surrogate sons, who he didn't know either. They chose me, a man with no qualifications, over other men with no qualifications, because I was the one who looked the most like his dear departed cousin. I guess they thought if I looked like Cuz, I'd act like Cuz. Big mistake. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Bruce. Okay, Barbara Rosen, you're up. Dan Brady, you're on deck. Barbara, you just have to unmute yourself. There you go.
I'm sorry. I just came as a member of the audience. Thank
Okay.
you, Maria. Thank you, Al.
It's
And
not a
everybody
problem,
else.
not a problem at all. Thank you, Barbara. Dan, are you ready to be up? And JR Turek, you're on deck.
I was starting to get ready, so could I go next?
You sure can.
Thank you.
Judy, can you pop in there? So we'll do Judy up and Harriet on deck. We'll circle back to Dan.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Louisa. Thank you, Maria. I was going to look for one of my Italian poems, but today is Paul's birthday, and this is honestly one of his favorites, and so in his honor. Acoustically challenged. It's possible he's lost his hearing. Hard to say if he's deaf, so I employ patience, repeat things twice and wait for a response, a reaction, something. When I get nothing, the third time becomes a shout. Lo and behold, a miracle occurs. His cochlea, eustachian tube, and stirrup work. His hammer hits anvil onto his tympanic membrane. His eardrum reverberates sound, and glory be, he can hear. Perhaps he thinks I suffer from a similar affliction because he yells, "I heard you the first time." I whisper a suggestion that in the future he respond even with a grunt, so I know he heard me. In a lower whisper, I suggest a visit to an audiologist, a light comment that hearing aids these days are small, nearly undetectable, and a second shout, "I'm not deaf." And I wonder if that's true, and perhaps there's a switch he controls for selective hearing. Happy birthday, honey.
Wonderful, wonderful. Harriet, you're up, and let's see, and we'll go. Yeah, and then Dan, if you'll be ready. Okay, good. So Harriet, you're up, and Dan, you're on deck.
Okay. My poem is called Coming Apart at the Seams. My country is coming apart at the seams. We are dangling by the strings of political extremism. Just listen as neighbor fights neighbor. You fascist, you're telling me to wear a mask. This is a free country. Get a vaccination. Are you crazy? You think a jab in my arm will save my life? With fists and cudgels, hunks of broken wood, roaring in combat frenzy, the suffocating clouds of ignorance rage on. I listen quietly as the unraveling of the seams that are tearing us all apart. All I can do is hope for a soft landing. Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet. Thank you very much. All right, Dan Brady, you're up. James, you're on deck.
All right, I'm going to post something in the chat here very quickly, tell people about that, and then I'll start.
Sure.
This is for everybody. There are 3 links. One is for Sacred Grounds, the open mic I host Wednesday nights. Second one from the bottom is my email. And the first one is the Global Open Mic. It is my attempt and that of others to find open mics wherever they might be and put them on a document so people can find them. And I don't know, Tony, I think, Tony, I have yours on there, but if I don't, we'll talk about that. But if any poet here says, oh, I know a venue, it's not on the list, put the persons in touch with me and we figure it out and we add them.
I'm going to jump in and tell you that Dan runs an amazingly, I mean, it's really, really good. It's a little late for us East Coasters,
Yes.
but it is a fabulous program. So if you can get to it on Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock Pacific, I strongly urge you to do it. It's really a great thing for people.
Is it a radio show?
Oh, it's Zoom.
It's Zoom. Oh,
Yeah.
Great.
Yep. It's really terrific.
All right. So how much time do I have? I just want to make sure I don't goof up.
We just ask you to do just one non-length poem.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Well, I hope to hear from as many people as I can to build that list. Other people are helping out. It's my start. The list is the start, so other people help. Anyway, here we go. All right. So I was asked to write a poem about women's issues, and I did. So I'm sorry to read this. Here we go. It's called Mother's Day. Whose gentle hands reach out to receive the bodies that are brought in? Whose gentle hands bear the simple folded cloth of white? Whose gentle hands then wash the remains softly, sweetly, one last time? A blessing of ablution? And who in silent reminiscence feel a tear trickle now and again because of someone's hair or eyes being familiar? Whose gentle hands then wrap the bodies, whose lips murmur? And who in concert bear up a corpse to then lay it gently out for view, its face set in profound sleep? Women are veterans all. They've been in all the wars, all the time, battlefield or no, win, lose, or draw. Upon them are visited those nightmare haunts and aching griefs which settle in and become memories, memoirs, and mementos, those tokens whose silent display tell all that can be told without speech. What do the women mean to do for the dying and the dead? What do they all pray for? How do they carry it all? As life goes on and living becomes something else, which becomes anything else besides what it was once upon a time? How do their eyes, searching, see this world after dressing wounds so deep, so red? How do their hands feel that which can no longer give feelings in return? Whose gentle wish, whose sighing may well be as nothing is, just as the care they take is when tending their own torn sorrows, or in sufferance, how such has at them, no matter how long or far time or their simple journeys may ever take them. Mother's Day.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
James, you're up, and Gerald Norland, you're on deck. James? James going once. Nope. Okay. Gerald, if you're ready, you can jump on in there, and Paula Kersey, you're on deck.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. I've selected a poem called Jazz Hours for tonight. It is long past the calming expectations of evening, the time of yellowed lights and deepening pools of darkness, past the late night travelers, partiers, workers, past talk shows and empty buses making last runs. Now are the soft hollow hours, bridging night and morning, the dark window hours, the lonely neon hours, the jazz hours. A time when those hot cocoons turn thoughts inward, search for reasons, search for meanings. These are the empty hours when ghosts of old dreams return, questions unanswered parade, and you wonder how past lovers fare.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Paula, you're up, and let me see, Cheryl. Do I see Cheryl? You're on deck.
Okay, so hi everybody. Great tonight. What a great pairing. You two women are amazing. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. This is called Afghanistan. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. What happened? You lost my face.
That
Let's
would
see.
be on your end, Paula. There you
Yeah,
go. We're
I
back.
got it. Okay, so Afghanistan. Some falling men return days later. After their impropriety, they attempt sobriety and make a comeback. But not everyone is an emperor with the luxury of no clothes. It's like when the boat fell with the 3 violinists who rubbed their bows. Everybody knows the water was cold and not everyone had a place on the lifeboat. And when the women fell, after searching for an exit, it was all ablaze. Women's work was just a phase. After all, it wasn't quitting time and not everyone had the key to the unlocked door. Like when the stocks fell and the country fell, and then when the towers fell, and then when the country fell again and again, and all these falling countrymen holding on to steel wings with hopes of escaping, yet another man's failing, falling, like Icarus. But like him, some don't listen, and not everyone flies in the middle, safe from the burn of the sun.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. So Cheryl is passing, so we're going to ask Monk if you're ready, and then Emiliano if you're up on next. And I understand, Monk, this is your first Zoom ever with us?
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you very much. We are deeply honored, and I mean that seriously.
Thanks so much, Tony.
Thank you so much for joining us. And Emiliano, you're on deck.
Yeah, and nice to hear the features. Very lively and passionate. And I have to thank Judy Turek because she helped me troubleshoot to get ready for this tonight. So, okay, this poem is about how things and people change, but yet there's an essence that stays the same. It's called Becoming. The tree became a door, became an experience of people walking in and out, became a memory of that, yet still the door, being a door, active, dooring. The wine became a song, became an intercourse, became a child that walked through the tree that had become a door. The child climbed a tree but gave no thought to door, though a tree still breathing inside the door, a soul still ringing inside the child singing inside the soul of all. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Monk. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Tony.
you coming. All right, Emiliano, you're up, and Mary Bush, you're on deck. Okay. Emiliano, can you hear us? Nope. Oh, you're not. Okay, good. Emiliano will be featuring for us later on. So thank you very much for coming out. Sorry if I missed your note. Mary, are you ready for us? Where are we? Did I lose Mary? Okay. RH Levin, you're up. No. Okay, well, I'm going to find somebody. Louise Madley. Okay. All right. Let me see who hasn't gone yet that would like to go. Marcia, you want to jump in? Okay.
No, I put in the chat, Tony. I'm not reading tonight.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed
next
that.
time, okay? Okay.
I missed it. All right, so now I'm just going to throw it open. Anybody who has not yet read wants to read. I seem to have lost track of my my list here. Anybody?
I have a piece of prose.
Larry, you could read every day, all the time. You could come to my house and read to me every morning over breakfast.
Okay. This is from an obit. It was in the Wall Street Journal in September about a doctor, a lady who was described as a CEO in the rehab business. The journal said she frequently set her alarm clock for 3:45 a.m. to get an early start on her workday. Sometimes she ate her oatmeal in the shower to save time. Dr. Jones did occasionally enjoy oatmeal while showering, and as would be expected, her first meal of the day was sometimes a little runny. A former chain smoker, she was able to cut back to half a pack a day by also smoking in the shower. With blasts of warm water hitting her face, she seldom was able to finish a cigarette in the shower. With oatmeal that never made it all the way to her lips, along with wet cigarette butts on the floor of the shower, she had problems keeping a housekeeper. Dr. Jones never let her 12:45 lunch break interfere with her work. She spent that time on a treadmill in her office while eating tofu pesto sandwiches. The building cleaning services refused to enter her office, so she was constantly recruiting college students to come in and clean up the mess. Evening meals were consumed at a standing desk at home while she took care of office paperwork on her laptop. She was partial to homemade onion soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. Her company thought so highly of her work that the annual budget contained funds to ship her one new laptop a month. During a trip to Montana in 2018, she and a young woman assistant were stranded in a cabin for 8 days after a massive snowstorm. The assistant had loved her work until this disaster. She quit as soon as she and Dr. Jones returned to Chicago. There was soon another disappointment in the life of the assistant. While spending a weekend in Baltimore with her fiancé, he caught her eating oatmeal in the shower and immediately checked out of the hotel, never to contact her again. That's it.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, what a wonderful evening. I want to thank everybody who joined us from near and afar. I want to thank our two wonderful readers. You guys were absolutely wonderful. And the open mic, once again, as I found during this entire COVID thing, has not made me want to kill myself, which normally open mics do. Is there anybody else who hasn't read that would like to read?
Tony Iovino.
No, not tonight.
Come on, just something. Geez, we haven't heard you in a long time already, huh?
No. Well,
That was my best New York accent.
Thank you, Dan.
That was good, Dan.
I really appreciate that. I'll pull something next time. So listen, I want to thank you all very much. Everybody be safe. Have a wonderful time. Check out
Thank you.
all of the other poetry venues that we have. And we we look to seeing you here again on November 4th.
Thank you for a
Good
wonderful
night.
evening.
Thanks,
Thank
Tony.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you all.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Miss you guys. Bye.
Take care.
Au
Bye.
revoir.
This was
Ciao.